What's up, everybody? Happy Sunday. Um, we're a little later today for our Wellness Off the Mat than normal. So you guys know, usually I follow this right after our coffee and a chat group, which anybody can join if you want. Just send me a message. By the way, little plug there. Hey, what's up? So I'm doing a yoga nidra training this weekend that takes place in the morning. So we had to shift everything back a little bit. So we're on here in the afternoon for a change. So we'll start. I'll share the card that we drew for yoga in a chat and read you guys a little story from the book, and then we'll jump into our topic for this week. So the card we drew this week is innocence. And this is what the spiel is. And I was saying to the gals this morning, I happened to be flipping through this deck the other day, and I realized how many of these cards I've never seen, and how many that come up for me again and again and again, which I found really interesting. And this, I think, is a new one for me. I don't think I've drawn this, so this was a cool one to have. So here's story time, everybody. The simplest gestures of love and respect can prevail over even the toughest of hearts. In this card, the lightness of the aura around Ganesh portrays innocence. By being soft and still, you give the universe the opportunity to assist you in creating your desires. Be willing to release any cynicism. Have you noticed yourself becoming increasingly critical over time? As you gather more experience, sometimes the familiarity of a situation can cause you to lose touch with your innocence. It is only natural to expect similar outcomes as you've had in the past when similar situations present themselves in your life. I'm sure we can all relate to that, right? Like, we get into these patterns and we kind of just act out of autopilot. Hey, Sin. Don't forget, though, that change and transformation are always possible. We don't have to be stuck in those patterns and in those pathways. You're being offered an opportunity to approach this situation with renewed peace. If you are making changes to your job situation, relationships, or even the direction of your life path, approach this with a sense of exploration and the excited curiosity of a child. Be willing to let go of the preconceived ideas that have developed over time in your mind. Allow your heart to be centered and in a place of peace. Every day, call on Ganesh for guidance to renew your mind and refresh your thinking. With Ganesh's assistance, contemplate each situation you encounter. So that's how we stop that autopilot, right? As we pause and treat everything as new and see how we want to react to that situation. Ask Ganesh to support you. Remember to pray for freedom from fears, worries, and unhealthy obsessions that might control your thoughts and harm your soul. Be accountable for your decisions and their results. Just knowing that you are responsible will assist you to take decisions seriously and with greater consideration. And I love kind of the way that wraps up. So I feel like it leads nicely into kind of our theme for the week and what we talked about as our takeaway in coffee and a chat this afternoon. This idea of being accountable for your decisions and their results, and just the idea that knowing you're responsible will assist you to take greater serious in consideration. So our words, our thoughts are so powerful, and how we frame things is really, really powerful. So if something has a negative connotation, even if it's something good, if the first thing is kind of negative, it can make it really difficult. So what we talked about this week is that idea of self-care. And redefining self-care. Because self-care has kind of developed really negative connotations. It's sort of looked at as indulgent behavior, selfish behavior. It's portrayed very often as like luxuriating bubble baths and spa days and things like that. And while those things are forms of self-care and are valid and important, at the end of the day, self-care isn't actually indulgent or selfish. It's like the most necessary thing for us to do. And if we're not taking that time to take care of ourselves and create good foundations, we're never going to achieve the things we want to achieve. So if we're in a place today and we want to be in a different place tomorrow, what's going to get us there is discipline. So I want to reframe self-care from indulgence to actually discipline and being really good for us. A few weeks ago, we talked about in group this idea of looking at your ideal day. I think we talked about it here too, and looking at where you're at in your life now. So, what are the kinds of things that you want to have in your life? What are your goals? Where are you trying to go? And where are you right now? And where are the disconnects? So, if we can identify where those disconnects are, then we can figure out where we need to be disciplined in order to make those changes and get to that ideal day. Because if we're not being accountable to ourselves, nobody else is going to do it, right? No one else is going to make my goals a priority, and no one else knows what they are. Only I do. So these behaviors and these decisions, while they might still look like bubble baths sometimes, right? It's not indulgent. It's not selfish. So let's figure out how to reframe this concept of self-care for ourselves. And maybe you're going to come up with a different word, but I want you to just think about it instead of selfish and indulgence and bad, right? Because those things are things we don't want to make priorities. And instead, how can we make this framed so that it's good for us? Because that's ultimately what we need to do to create any change in our lives, right? If we're lacking that discipline, we're going to continue in negative behaviors, continue in these negative thought patterns that this card is talking about, right? Continuing responding to our triggers the way we always have. And if you're okay with where you're at in your life, right? If you're already at that ideal day, then you're doing well and you're in that place already. But if there's still that gap between your ideal day and where you're at today, what's going to fill those gaps is discipline. So that's our little takeaway for this week, and something for us to think about. And it can be helpful to create intention around those those things. So one of the gals this morning was saying, oh, I don't really think I take the time for anything for myself, but I guess lately I have been enjoying my morning cup of tea a little bit more. It's been I've had this nice kind of calm morning, and it's been really enjoyable, less stress. I'm not running out of the house in a rush, and that's been really nice actually. So I said, well, that's a perfect practice right there. That's a perfect example. So let's make an intention around that instead of just letting it be these autopilot behaviors, these pathways that we get stuck on, right? You've been getting up and making a cup of tea for 30, 40, however many years. Let's create an actual intention around that and say to yourself, I'm going to get up in the morning and enjoy a peaceful morning with my cup of tea, not rush and not leave the house stressed. Now it's a discipline. Now it's self-care, because now we're not running on autopilot anymore. So you might not even need to add things to your life right away. Put more things on your to-do list, right? Often that kind of becomes a barrier for this too, right? I already don't have time. I can't do more things. What's something you're already doing that you can set an intention, that you can reframe, right? Change that language that you're using for yourself, and now make it something that's a really beautiful practice and is going to help take you all those places that you want to go. So I'm going to leave it there, and because you guys know I can jib, so I'm going to jump off, but that's something for us to think about this week. And don't forget, you can book consultations with me now on the website. So if I'm saying these things and you're like, that kind of makes sense, but I'm not really sure what to do or where to start or anything like that, book a consultation. They're free. We can talk about it. We can see if we even want to go further with it and work together and explore these things for you. Now is a good time of year to change these mindsets, right? Everybody's getting into that January New Year's resolution thing right around the corner. So let's start the new year off on the right foot and start getting ourselves closer to where we want to be. I love you guys. I hope everybody has a beautiful week, and I'll see y'all next Sunday. Bye.